something I'm doing on the side that allows me to like pursue like a passion project is probably what you would call it.
Okay.
And over the course of like the next year,
that's how you were feeling at the time when you were in financial advising.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like in the beginning when GLM first came to be, it was just a passion project. And then I actually like launched the brand in October of 2020. I launched it as a brand because I would wear my shirt out and people would ask me about it all the time. Where'd you get that shirt? Where'd you get that shirt? So I decided to launch it. And then over the course of that next year, from October 2020 to October 21, that's when I really started to learn more about e-commerce. I started to learn more about just building a brand in general. And I'm like, yeah, like this is definitely something I want to do in the long run. And I started to get really excited about it.
That's awesome.
So over the course of that year, I was still going full-fledged with the financial planning from 2020 to 2021. But I was building the ethos of the brand. What is GLM? What do we stand for? What message are we trying to put out in the world? What kind of products are we trying to create? And then, you know, it took me a little while to really build that brand ethos while I was doing financial planning.
So while you were in that, were you like really focused on financial advising during the day and then you focused on your brand at night? Were you kind of doing a little bit of your brand during the day as well? Like, what did that look like for you?
Yeah, I would say I was mostly focused on financial planning from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Generally, I was just focused on doing client meetings and serving my clients. And then, like, sometimes throughout the day, I'll work on some design stuff, or, like, really, it was after hours that I was primarily, like, working on the brand during that time.
So you were putting in the 16-hour days?
Kind of, because, you know, like I said, over the course of that first year of having the brand, I was really building the ethos of it.
You just had to, like, really think about what it meant for you.
Yeah, and
it takes some time, honestly.
Yeah, and it was more so even learning more. Like, I would say working on the brand at that point was really just watching videos and learning more about other brand owners and other brands that exist and, like, how they're running their brand and things like that. So like I said, it's a little bit of a process in how I actually built the brand out, because it wasn't like, oh, I launched GLM and I was like, yeah, this is it. It took some time to get there.
Yeah.
So when I launched it from 2020 to 2021, I put like 2 additional products out. And I was in the mindset of one day I'm just going to be doing GLM. And then I realized, like, one day is like today, like it's got to start happening. Yeah. And what allowed me to actually truly go all in on GLM is in February of 2022, I was getting quite behind in my financial planning work because I was managing everything on my own. I didn't have any admin. And then I was still like doing GLM stuff. And I said, okay, I know I want to go full time with GLM, but my practice is what was going to fuel that. Right. Yeah. Because I wanted to like leave the practice, the financial planning space. When I first launched the brand, like I had the mindset like, yeah, I want to leave, but like I had no foundation built. Right. So at that point in early 2022, I hired a full-time executive assistant in the practice. So she literally took all the load off when it came to all the back end work with the Northwestern Mutual financial planning stuff. And that freed up my ability to just go out, work with clients, but also continue like working on the brand, getting the design, getting the ethos and things in place. And then in 2022, I'm like, I have to take you through this. I know, you're taking me through the timeline. No, I love it. Because I want everyone to know, you know, it was a process. It wasn't like I just woke up and GLM's where it is today.
But I think that's really important to showcase within this conversation. Like, a lot of people who are interested in building themselves are listening to this podcast, and they need to know that if you're listening to this, you need to know that it's not just I have this idea, boom, like, let's launch it. Yes, I'm the type of person to take messy action. I am definitely that person. But it also takes time to develop your business plan, to develop exactly what you want to do. And it's a journey. It's always evolving. Yeah, like, it's not like you're, this is what I want to do and this is what I'm doing for the next 20 years. You don't know if this is what you want to do now and then in 5 years you want to change something. You want to make something else.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I thought GLM was going to blow up the moment I launched it. And like we did $1,000 in sales the first week, and I was like, "Oh, this is amazing!"
Right.
But once again, that's like my family, my friends, everyone mine. We didn't have the social media built out or anything like that.
Yeah.
But one thing that was really important, because once again, like I'm running my own business already, and I'm launching a whole new business, and I think generally, in most cases, if someone's working like a regular job where they get to just go in at this time and leave at this time, they're working on their business if they have an idea after work.
Right.
But think about the financial planning is you're constantly on because you only get paid if you're actually building your business and bringing in a clientele. So it was a real mental battle for quite a while.
I bet. Balancing
the two, being so passionate about GLM, but also understanding that the financial planning is what's fueling, like my practice is what's fueling that.
Yeah.
So when I hired my executive assistant in 2022, my growth in the practice like took off. Like
really?
we were growing fast because I was able to focus on the main revenue generating activities and not get caught up in all the other
admin,
things.
the managing.
And those things are really important.
Facts.
But I can't grow the business, if I'm handling all those other things.
I definitely get it.
And my assistant, she's literally amazing. And then it came to a point in 2022 because you can only say you're going to do something for so long before you actually either do it or you don't do it. And I kept saying, I want to be full-time with GLM. I want to be full-time with GLM. So it came to a turning point where I had the opportunity where it's like I was either going to do a client event, put a good sum of money into a client event, or I was going to put that money into relaunching GLM and going full-fledged in it. And it came down to it. I talked to my assistant. I said, I think we should go all in on the brand. And that was in like September of 2022. And from September 2022 to when I exited financial planning this past October of 2023, literally my main focus was doing everything we possibly could to take the brand to the next level so that we could exit and go full time with the brand.
That's so dope. That's so dope. But just to think, like, it really takes time. Like, you have to be willing to put in the time. Because, like you just said, like, you had the idea, okay, I want to go full-blown GLM 2022, September 2022. A whole year later, you finally got to leave. That takes grit.
And here's what's really important in all that process that I didn't mention. There's a point in my life where, mind you, we're a Christian sportswear brand, so it's completely faith-based.
Yeah.
And there's a point where I was seeking God for specific answers in my life. This was in, I believe, 2021. And God spoke to me, and he told me that the vision, he was going to give me the vision for GLM, but he wanted me to stay diligent in what I was doing with Northwestern Mutual, with my financial planning practice.
Yeah.
So he told me to stay diligent in the work I was already doing, and that he was going to give me the vision for the brand soon. And over the course of next year, that's when I was able to hire my assistant, and then I started to develop a more clear vision for what the brand actually is, which is, we exist to help individuals elevate their mindset and inspire them, to live a more powerful life through training and maximizing their God-given calling.
That's awesome.
And I didn't have that when I first launched it.
Right. Yeah.
So in terms of like this whole ethos of it being a process, it really was a process from here's the idea, here's what I think it is, seeking God about it, him actually giving me some direction, like, hey, it's going to come to the point where you're going to be full-time in the brand, but I need you to focus and lock in on this with where you're at right now. And I'm going to gradually show you the vision. And then once he showed me the vision, I was able to go all in on it.
That's so good. No, that's seriously so good. I feel like, the fact that you were so obedient within that is what is going to take you to places you can't even see right now, because God wanted you to stay in that. You could have been like, nope, I'm getting rid of it right now. I'm going to all blown GLM. But the fact that you listened to, hey, stay here. I'm going to give you this. I'm slowly but surely. And then boom, like you can leave. Like, what do you feel like you learned most within that process of like truly listening to God and letting the Holy Spirit guide you within that?
I think I learned to be patient. Because even when God told me to stay diligent with where I was in terms of like doing the financial planning and helping clients, and that he was going to continue to help me like build a vision for the brand, there were times in that period where it was really, really hard.
I bet.
Like it got really dark from the standpoint of it. Like I just felt like I was trying to do an impossible task.
Right.
And there was roadblock after roadblock after challenge after challenge.
Yeah.
In the financial planning business.
Oh wow.
There were things happening where I'm like, God, like, why is this happening? Like, I work too hard for this.
Yeah.
Like, I know I'm a good advisor. You know, I do the best job I can for my clients. Like, I work as hard as I possibly can. It's like I will take 2 steps forward and I'll take 4 steps backwards.
Jeez.
In that practice, while I'm trying to get to the point where I'm running the brand full time.
Right.
And I specifically remember God telling me, stay diligent at Northwestern Mutual, and I'm going to give you the vision for GLM. But what do you think I start thinking? Things start getting tough at Northwestern Mutual, and I'm like, I'm going to leave.
Yeah. I'm
going to go to another firm. I'm going to go find something easier I can do.
Yeah.
But what I realized in that process was the challenges and issues that I was dealing with at Northwestern Mutual. I'm like, if I go somewhere else, it's not going to fix this. So I had to look internally and say, hey, because that's one thing that I learned is just taking ownership.
Right.
Over if things aren't going the way I want, okay, that's fine. Like, figure out a way, find a solution. And through that, I was able to get creative and continue to grow and continue to reach new levels in that particular business. And there are very valuable lessons that God was teaching me in those valleys that if I would have just left and took an easier route, I probably wouldn't have learned those things until 3, 4, 5 years later.
Yeah. No.
So I was actually able to speed up my growth by staying true to what the Lord told me and staying strong in the valley, knowing that eventually I'm going to come out the valley and that the Lord is going to bring me out of it and carry me through.
That's
so
wow. No, that's so good. And I love what you said about how like it was dark. Like entrepreneurship can be dark sometimes. Like you feel alone, you feel like what the heck am I doing? What am I creating? Why am I creating this? Is this actually going to work? But the fact that also what you said, like just letting God like carry you through those trials, those tribulations, like building your character, building you more and more because you are still so young. And like you said, there's people out there who are 40 and still like 40 and just now getting the idea to create their own brand, maybe because they wanted to choose the easier route for so long. But when you tap in when you're young and really focus on going through those trials, going through those tribulations, going through those dark times, staying patient and listening to God, like that is what will get you to where you want to be.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, you know, a lot of us want to grow and we want to achieve success, right? We have a certain vision for ourselves. And sometimes we think we can speed that up by taking the easy route. But if you really want to speed it up, if you really want to grow faster, get uncomfortable and lean into the uncomfortable times and the uncomfortable position. And the more you lean into that, the more you'll learn, and those will give you value. Those will give you a valuable foundation for when you come out of it, and you can build upon that. Right.
If there's someone listening to this right now and they're kind of in your position that you were in, they're working a corporate job, but they know they're worth more than just working there for the rest of their lives. Like they want to do more. What would you recommend that they take? Like what's their first step that they should take?
I think if you have a certain vision, and I think first it's important to understand you have that vision for a reason. So if you're in a place right now and you feel like there's better for you, and you see that there's a vision, and maybe it's a particular route you should take, maybe it's a particular industry you should start to go into. A lot of times I will say things you're naturally inclined that you enjoy, those are like small little hints and clues of like what you should be pursuing. Yeah. And if you're in that place where you feel like you're stuck, I think the biggest thing you can do is just take you one step at a time. You know, right. For example, you know, like if you want to start a clothing brand, for example, the first thing you should probably start to think, okay, what's the name of the clothing brand? Okay, what's the meaning behind the clothing brand? And then as far as taking steps forward goes, start to actively look for a supplier. Start to actively get the designs. And then don't wait to put anything out. Don't think you have to have everything perfect to launch.
Right.
This is just a clothing brand example. But, maybe